So, within just 2 weeks of becoming president, Tinubu made two of the biggest economic gambles in Nigeria's recent history. First, he removed fuel subsidy, and while Nigerians were still trying to adjust, he floated the naira. Let's start with fuel subsidy. Imagine this pen costs 2,000. Instead of paying the full cost of the pen, that's 2,000, you just pay 500 and the Nigerian government pays 1,500. That's essentially how subsidy works. And to keep fuel affordable, the federal government subsidized the prices consumers paid at the fuel station. Then there was the Naira. You see, Nigeria operated multiple exchange rates where different groups could access foreign currency at different official prices. Imagine a supermarket where the price of this pen depends on who you are. Government agencies could pay 500, some businesses could pay 600, but everyone else has to pay 900 for the exact same pen. That's exactly how Nigeria's foreign exchange market worked. Different groups had to buy the US dollars at different official prices. Now, from Tinubu's perspective, keeping fuel subsidy had become extremely dangerous. Instead of investing heavily on roads, power, schools, hospitals, and other public services, the government was spending trillions of naira every year, keeping fuel prices artificially low. So, during his inauguration, Tinubu announced an end to the subsidy, but he also promised that the money previously spent on fuel subsidy would instead be redirected toward infrastructure, education, healthcare, and job creation, ultimately improving the lives of millions of Nigerians. But the consequences followed immediately. You see, removing the subsidy caused fuel prices to surge, and higher fuel prices quickly translated into higher transportation costs, more expensive food, higher food production costs, and higher prices for consumers. Which brings us back to Tinubu's second and even arguably riskier decision. Now, floating the naira means allowing the price of the dollar to be determined by supply and demand and not by the government. The federal government promised that allowing the naira to float would attract foreign investment and solve Nigeria's foreign exchange problems. They also promised that it would make Nigeria's economy stronger, even if it meant short-term hardship. The logic was simple. A more transparent foreign exchange market would attract investment. Investment would help businesses grow. Businesses would create jobs. And stronger economic activity would benefit everyone. But economic theory and everyday reality don't always move at the same pace. Whilst these reforms were designed to strengthen Nigeria's economy over the long term, millions of Nigerians were focused on something far more immediate: the rising cost of food, transportation, school fees, rent, and cooking gas. Many families were still adjusting to the removal of the fuel subsidy, and now they also have to deal with a much weaker naira. Well, it's been 3 years since both gambles were taken. The government says the reforms are beginning to work and is asking Nigerians to be patient because the economy is stabilizing. Nigeria's foreign reserves has increased from $35 billion before the reforms to $51 billion. GDP has grown from 2.74% in the first quarter of 2023 to 3.89% in the first quarter of 2026. The federal government revenue has also increased from 12.5 trillion in 2023 to nearly 21 trillion in 2024 and just about 37 trillion in 2025. Critics disagree. They argue that the reforms do not benefit ordinary Nigerians. Food inflation has risen from 24.8% to about 30% today. Fuel prices climbed from 185 per liter to over 1,000 per liter. And the exchange rate climbed from 460 per dollar to about 1,500. Now, based on the evidence, who is right? For many Nigerians, the cost of living has risen faster than their incomes. The next election is in 2027, and the president is asking for 4 more years to see his vision through. Critics say he'd only make things worse if re-elected, as Nigerians are yet to enjoy the prosperity he promised them 3 years ago. Here's my take. It's important to grow on a macroeconomic level. It's equally important to address the pain point of most Nigerians. Most Nigerians care far more about the cost of food in the market than the record foreign reserves the government is celebrating. And the reason is high cost of food is what threatens their immediate survival. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. I'll see you next week.